And with that, NBCSports.com, Football Morning in America by Peter King. He's joining us live from the Super Bowl via the Coward Global Satellite Network. So you interviewed Sean McVay at some ungodly hour as part of your column this week. I don't know. You drink a lot of coffee, so I'm sure you're okay with getting up at 3 in the morning, but Sean McVay at 4 in the morning, very few people see him then. Was he as sharp as he always is?
No question about it. I said that in my column today, Colin, that I met him at 4:10 a.m. insane standard time. He likes to be at work at 5 o'clock. I mean, just like all of us. Don't we all love to be at work at 5 o'clock? But, Colin, this is what was interesting. I asked him, I said, what would you be doing if I wasn't in the car? And he said, probably a book on tape. I'm listening to a real good one now, Gridiron Genius by Mike Lombardi. I'm learning about two of my favorite coaches, Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick. And so, he's not one of these guys who's going to put on Top 40 or going to listen to the new Jay-Z hit. He's going to take that 35 minutes to the office to learn something. And that was pretty impressive about that ride. Not only that I learned something, I learned a lot of things about how he works and how his brain power works. And quite honestly, Colin, about how democratic he is in the process of coaching his team.
I was at a soccer game this year, actually, in Los Angeles, and I ran into his punter. And really good guy, and he was a soccer fan. So we're sitting there talking, having a beer, and I asked him about Sean McVay and kind of the secrets of it. And he said, he's got a little player in him. The way he talks like a player sometimes. He really connects with players. And your thoughts about that? Because I've heard that now on 2 or 3 different occasions from coaches or players. He's different than the other guys.
Colin, when he was a high school senior right here in Atlanta, he went to the sidelines at a key moment of the game, and he basically asked his head coach if they could run a different play than the coach wanted him to run. And the head coach let him run the play. It was a naked bootleg. He was the quarterback, McVay was, and he scored a touchdown to win a high school tournament game. So I want you to watch this play you're seeing on your screen right now. The reason that this play, which Troy Aikman called his Jared Goff's best pass of the game, if you run that replay one more time from that exact angle, what you're going to see is Brandon Cooks making an outcut toward the sidelines. The original play, you watch Brandon Cooks go up, now he goes out. And that play, Brandon Cooks was supposed to go in. Before this play, Jared Goff had told Sean McVay on the sidelines, I'd rather have Cooks go out because I think there's going to be too much traffic in here. I don't want to layer the ball over Cooks. I want to fire it to him. And McVay goes, well, not what I would call, but I trust you. Let's run it that way. And McVay told me on Friday, that is a perfect example of what I like to do. I want my players to understand that I'm going to listen to them. And if they make sense with what they want to do, I'm absolutely going to consider it. This was an example of why players love playing for Sean McVay.
By the way, he has faced Bill Belichick before, right?
Yes. In 2015, he faced Bill Belichick, and they got killed. They were losing 27-3 in the last minute when Washington got a garbage touchdown. And he told me on that day that Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia took him to the woodshed. And there's no question in my mind that he's going to have learned a lot from that particular day that you're looking at right now. There he is with Kirk Cousins. That's one of the longest days of Sean McVay's coaching life. It's the only time in the 5 years as a coordinator or head coach he's faced Belichick until this coming Sunday.
By the way, he and Belichick have a texting relationship?
Yeah, he told me that after a lot of their games this year, Belichick would text him. He said he sent me a great text after we beat Minnesota on that Thursday night about how much he really loved how explosive their offense was. So, yeah, they got a pretty good relationship, which I didn't know before I met him.
I'll tell you, everybody is talking about Belichick against McVay. Old genius, new genius, I get it. Here is what I'm looking at. Josh McDaniels has, in the last couple of weeks, taken apart Gus Bradley and then took apart Bob Sutton. And both those coordinators the week before were credited with brilliant game plans. Gus Bradley against Lamar Jackson, Sutton against Andrew Luck. Wade Phillips tends to be a this is what I do guy. I don't change a lot. This is what I do. Well, Josh McDaniels has taken apart two coordinators who generally are this is what I do guys. I think the Wade Phillips, Josh McDaniel battle, this is where I really favor New England. Wade is kind of a this is my defense. Here's what it is. That, I think, worries me about the Rams this week. You buy into that?
Well, consider this about Josh McDaniels. You were talking, Colin, before I came on the air about why doesn't New England have a name? Why don't they have a name? Oh, the name is Brady or the name is Belichick, whatever. They don't have a steel curtain. They don't have any of this. But you know what they have? They have on both sides of the ball. The reason they don't have a nickname, in my opinion, is that on both sides of the ball, every week, every game plan is a snowflake. Josh McDaniels is totally non-predictable. How about coming out and running the ball as much as he did on third downs early in the game against Kansas City? The crazy thing is, this was not thought to be one of the best offensive lines in the league in midseason. And they've had 179 snaps this postseason. Tom Brady's been sacked 0 times and knocked down twice. And so that's what I mean. Josh McDaniels figures out each week exactly what he should do to that particular opponent. So that's why I have no idea what we're going to see out of the Patriots on offense. You saw last week, hey, Rex Burkhead, big star. Well, Rex Burkhead might touch the ball twice in this whole game. So every week it's going to be different, and that's what Josh McDaniels wants to leave on Wade Phillips' head right now going into this game. You can't predict what we're going to do because we do something different every week.
Okay, here's where you and I disagree. Years ago, it was about, 2002, the NBA officials, Sacramento and the Lakers, went into the Western Conference Finals. It was Game 6. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. It was a horribly officiated game, and the Lakers got virtually every call. But it was Game 6. And in Game 7, the Kings were awful. They were nervous and anxious, and the Lakers won. But David Stern did not come out and comment on the officiating. His feeling was, I've got a head of officials. I'm not going to micromanage. I understand people want Goodell to comment. But that's why you have, in fact, one of the criticisms I've had of Goodell is, why is he in the punishment business? He should have a committee for these players who make mistakes in their private lives. If Goodell comes out and comments on the bad call in New Orleans, there's nothing he can say that appeases Saints fans. They're just going to attack him. You disagree. You want him to talk. Why?
Colin, my whole life, the way I don't mean to make this sound, schoolboyish, but, when I made a mistake, my father said, you stand up, you accept responsibility, and you say it's never going to happen again. And, sometimes, of course, he can't do anything about it. The game is over. A horrible call influenced the outcome of this game. There's nothing you can do. But there's something about being responsible, about doing the right thing, about saying, we screwed up, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure it never happens again. I know that's not going to make you happy, but instead, they've been hiding. And Colin, for years, I went back to the playoff game of the Giants and 49ers in 2003. They made a 60-word statement the next day because the wrong team probably won that game. The 49ers, 39-38. On the last play of the game, a horribly miscalled interference call. And so the only point I'm making here is, if you are going to stand up when Bobby Wagner makes a game-influencing play on a Monday night in Seattle a month or so ago against the Minnesota Vikings, if you're going to do that and come out the next day and say, hey, we screwed up, we did this, why then are you hiding when the play is a mega play that may have sent the wrong team to the Super Bowl?
Good thoughts. Peter King, NBCSports.com, Football Morning in America. I can hear the buzz. He got a haircut, I was told, just for our show. It was very polite of you, Peter.
How do you like it, Colin? Really?
Really look very professional. You look like you cover the NFL wisely and smartly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Good talking to you. Yeah, I mean, listen, his feeling is they've talked about officiating before, step to the mic and talk about it. You know, I tend to think is when people demand stuff, my personality